70,000 downloads.
You what?
70,000. And guess what?
What?
130 countries.
I know, it's absolutely ridiculous. And the thing is, as well, off the back of our last episode, imposter syndrome, it's hard because now you're so aware of your imposter syndrome and we're trying to like own it and take it, but we're still us, so it literally feels like you're talking about somebody else. It's like not mine.
Like when we started this, I think we got like maybe 100 in the first week or something.
And we were so excited.
And we were so excited. And don't get me wrong, I'm still excited.
But it's too inconceivable that this could be ours, isn't it?
But yeah, we're getting like 1,000 downloads a day.
Yeah.
And that's just, I can't, it's like you say, it's too inconceivable. I can't get my head around it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what? And because it's just numbers you're seeing and it's not like, if there was 1,000 people in front of me every single day listening to me talk, I'd just be like, what the fuck? Like, you can't, like, what? So I guess if you put it in that kind of terms, you're just like, all right, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly that. But you know what? We've had so much amazing feedback about that episode, particularly the police thing.
Yeah.
Honestly, and that's such a random memory. It literally came to me in that second. So sometimes when I blurt out without even thinking, it's useful.
Well, there you go. Although there is part of me thinking, but maybe everyone's just like that.
No, it's not. I asked a couple of people and they said no.
Oh, really?
And it was a really genuine fear.
Yeah.
When I was a kid.
It makes, same. Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
It's so funny. But yeah, thank you to everyone who's reached out to us and listened, and to everyone, for all the reviews, for the coffees and everything. You know, the support that you're giving us is like we said, it fuels our fight from that silly reel that we did.
Yeah.
But it does feel like a fight. It is a lot of work. And it's a lot to hear how people are struggling. It does affect us, and there are so many of you now that we're sort of struggling to keep up a bit. Yeah. And we worry about that. So we're trying to think of some ways around it, some different avenues that we can take so that people can feel more supported whilst we're behind the scenes trying to juggle everything, because it is still just the two of us, although we are getting a little bit of help from a magical person. Yes. We're just trying to figure out what that looks like, and we're working very hard on bringing new things to the table. So yeah, it's a lot to juggle right now, but it's all totally worth it. It's just and it just means that, you know, things are going to develop and will be developing, and we're looking at developing things further. So watch this space and bear with us. And bear with us, please. Because, we are working very hard behind the scenes. And we're very, very grateful to be able to do that, to be able to speak to people and be listened to and be resonating and be useful. But we're almost rendering ourselves useless at this point, to be honest. We're trying our best. I might not have had another nervous breakdown just now, but you know. I'm so used to it. It's a weekly occurrence now. But this episode, we're excited. We are very excited about this guest. So we have got Joe, who is one of our listeners, and he has been with us since the very, very, very start, his name. So Joe is trans. He was born AFAB and now identifies as trans male. And the reason why we know Joe from the start is Joe was the first person to reach out to us and thank us for doing our inclusivity message that we were nervous about, because it's a hard thing it was so important to not exclude anybody, but then at the same time, it's hard to speak of anyone else's experiences apart from your own. Yeah. And you don't want to appear like you're doing something for show, to tick a box, to, you know. But we genuinely don't want to leave people out. We genuinely don't. And we have the name ADHD as females, but let's be honest, we've got that just so we could be called ADHDAF, and we all know what that actually means. Yeah, we literally, we sat at a table and we were like, how do we get around being called ADHDAF? And that's how we came up with our name. That is genuinely what happened. But because we're juvenile. Yeah. And it's as females because it is our experiences as females. Yeah. So there you go. So Joe is an absolute legend, and we're so excited to share this episode with you, because he really does feel like family. Yeah. And he's one of us. Yeah, you will love Joe as much as we do. So shall we shut up and let Joe talk? Yeah, let's go. Yay! ADHD as females. ADHDAF.
ADHDS Females, the podcast.
Hi, I'm Dawn.
Hi, I'm Laura, and we are ADHDAF. Seriously. We are two neurodivergent neighbours who moved to the same street at the same time, at the same age, with the same undiagnosed disability. What are the chances?
Since discovering the enormous impact ADHD has had on our lives and the horrifying numbers of missing undiagnosed females, it has become our mission to make some serious noise.
We want to use our voices to raise awareness, break the stigma, and share our experiences in the hope that they help others.
So join us for a chat, or as it's called up here in Aberdeen, a blether.
Trigger warning, we will be covering some really sensitive topics, so please do have a read of the description of each episode before listening.
It's important to note that we are not medical professionals, we're not therapists or coaches, we're not qualified to offer advice or support. What we will do is share our experiences alongside resources and information from professionals. We will talk over each other and we will go off topic and forget the point mid-sentence.
We are both assigned female at birth, which means that we can only speak from the experience of life as AFAB people. However, ADHDAF is an inclusive space. Whatever your gender, you are very welcome here.
Yes, you are.
ADHDS Females. ADHD.
Hello and welcome, Joe. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited.
So Joe got in touch with us. We just looked back on May the 30th. So Joe is like family. You've been with us from the start.
Yeah.
So Joe reached out to us about the fact that you were really happy about us including a inclusivity statement at the beginning of our podcast.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to thank you for doing that. And it was really important to us because we obviously picked the name that we did for obvious reasons. But then we realized that we didn't want to exclude anybody. So it was important to get that in. But then it's like, oh God, do we sound like we're just trying to, you know?
Yeah.
So thank you for doing that because it meant a lot to us.
Everybody's experience is valid, isn't it?
Yes.
And I know that sounds a little bit corny, but it just a lot of what you have talked about and your guests have talked about really resonates with me because I was assigned female at birth, grew up educated as a female in the 70s and 80s, and we know that there's a massive boom of women who are being diagnosed really late. And because for the last few years I've got a bit of a beard and a deep voice, my experiences are still the same. I've still got all that stuff going on from school, and I'm still
100%.
in the same position as you guys going,
exactly.
How did nobody notice?
It's funny because we had another person reach out to us and say that they felt, as a trans person, they felt that their life was really marred by being AFAB because of that very stereotype that we talk about. But anyway, we're jumping ahead. Please shut me up and tell us about yourself. So tell us your name, age, occupation, and a bit about your work history, if you would like to.
Okay. My name is Joe, Charlan. I'm 46 and I live in just outside Manchester. And a bit of background, my job at the minute is I'm a commissioning manager, which doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people, but I basically commission services for people who've got disabilities and autism, learning disabilities and autism. And my work, which is on the kind of neurodiversity and that kind of stuff. So I've learned quite a bit in what I'm doing. I've got no idea how I got here. I've just kind of along and a few different jobs. I started out and I used to measure bras a long time ago. For a lot of people that'd be a dream, but I just found it a bit of a nightmare. Anyway, I swiftly moved on, and then and so I do what I do now, and I really love it. And I work with some amazing people who are really cool.
Yeah, brilliant. Awesome. So obviously, if you're working in like the neurodiversity like realm, is that since you've discovered your own neurodivergence, or in what order did that come? Like how did you come to suspect that you had ADHD?
Well, my entire life, I've always been a bit of a dope. And I mean that in the kind of, oh, you're a dope.
Yeah.
I'd forget to do stuff. I'd mix things up, get my days wrong. I can remember Brownies is cancelled and I turned up one night
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these didn't last long either. You know, I kind of think for being really, really small, forgetting things, doing things wrong, my mum would go, you just do such a job. And I'd go away. And then I'd come back in about 20 minutes with a biscuit and she'd go, have you done what I asked you to do? And I'd be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. But I always, you know, I'd always come back with a biscuit.
Priorities.
Absolutely.
Totally. So there's always, and like a bit of it, you know, my sister says I've got a memory like a sieve. I flit about a lot, lots of different interests, sometimes don't last long, kind of thing. Went on and on like my entire life like that. But it has been more recently, and I think lockdown probably had a lot to do with it because my work is really, really busy. It's pressure. It involves people's lives. And when you put COVID and trying to plan and do things on top of that, it's just like this.
Yeah.
And so a friend who's on Twitter actually said that she'd requested an assessment. And I said, what made you think this? How did you come about it? And he sent me a photo of the diagnostic. You know, when it's like, I mean, you've probably had this moment. It's like, it's describing me. It's like, who's written this? This is what Joe does. And I was like, bloody hell. And I said to my partner, who's a sensible one, what do you think? Think I have? And she went, yeah.
A light bulb moment.
Yeah.
It's almost a joke, isn't it? Because it's like you're looking at it. It's like I don't know, like waiting for a camera to be on you. Like this is an actual wind up. Like everything that is me and everything that I struggle with is an actual thing.
I think again that just goes to the lack of awareness about it and the stereotypes that have people believe it's something else than what it actually is.
Yeah.
I mean, I said to my sister, I've got an older sister who's, as far as I know, neurotypical. She might not be. I said to her, why did nobody notice? And she was like, people didn't really know back then.
No,
it's true. It's that, you know, that naughty boy. I was probably hyperactive at home. I was, you know, my mum said I was a handful, but it was more that I would kind of zone out constantly, looking out of the window. I've missed half a lesson. I don't want to ask them to repeat it because I'm too shy. My mum and dad put me out of a state school when I was about 9. And I went to a private school because they were really concerned that
you were behind.
I was getting behind and I would fall further behind and I needed more support and it was more intense. And you kind of had homework every night and you had to do it. And the second I walked back into a secondary, like an ordinary secondary school, couldn't learn the timetable, went to the wrong rooms.
Yeah.
Got to do the homework because, like, you know, you've got a week to do it. I thought, wow, I'll do it. I'll do it whenever. And it just became a pattern then. And looking back, all that stuff, adding it up, like, come on. But yeah, here we are.
Here we are indeed.
And then,
better late than never.
Yeah, absolutely. So how was the diagnosis process for you?
Well, I read something on Instagram and it was another woman who's probably in her early 30s had said something about right to choose. That's what it's called, isn't it? Yeah. I asked us for some details because I was like, what is it? It's almost instant, it seemed. So I got the details and had a look at it and then contacted my GP, who is the most sensible doctor I have ever met in my entire life. She's absolutely fantastic.
Oh, brilliant.
And I'm really lucky. And I'm saying that because it makes a massive difference. Because the second somebody says, yes, I believe you, you've validated, aren't you? And it's kind of, that's the first step, kind of feeling better. So he said, okay, we'll sort it, sent the letter in and everything. And this was last year. And I think Psychiatry UK has gone like, it's really taken off, hasn't it? So initially it was, we're going to meet me in June this year. And then it was brought forward to March. So I was really lucky. It probably took less than 6 months, actually, I think.
That's really good.
It was
when
easy.
you first approached your doctor to getting a diagnosis, 6 months?
Yeah, within 6 months, I think, yeah.
Amazing.
That's amazing because part of the UK, the list now for getting diagnosed, the wait is enormous, absolutely enormous. So that's really fantastic. And what do you think undiagnosed ADHD has cost you?
I've given this, as you can imagine, since I got the invite, it's been a lot of hyper focus on this and like really, really thinking about it. And it's been dead helpful, actually. So thank you for that. But I really think, apart from the, the depth from impulsive spending and the massive pile of Lego behind me that you probably can't see, which is one of my fixations. Things like, educational attainment. I managed to get a degree. I've got no idea how I did it. I've got no idea. I coasted. I just about did enough for everything. And I think I could have done so much better had I done it. Not written essays on the day that they're due in, or handed them in on time and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's definitely
right now.
Yeah, and I my hat's off to you for doing a degree when you're older, because things do get harder. It is more difficult to learn and stuff like that. So, but I also think that it probably has cost me a little bit of success at work. Not that I don't think I've done really well, but I lack a lot of confidence. I don't trust my own judgment because I don't have very much faith in myself.
But do you think that situation has improved or got better post-diagnosis? Because obviously it's a process. It's what we've all learned is to think badly of ourselves and to not trust ourselves. Do you feel like now you know what it's all about, that you're like more, I don't know, like, I think I'm asking because that's how I see it, is I'm a bit like, on the one hand, it's like, oh, okay, I know what's going on now. But on the other hand, it's like, oh, okay, I know what's going on now. I've got something wrong with my brain. It's almost like you trust yourself less. I don't know. Do you feel that?
I totally get that, because it's like, now I was relieved when I found out, because I was like, it kind of explains a lot. And I'm not just a dope. I do have a bad memory, and that's okay. And it's nothing broken about me. It's just wired differently. It's just a different brain.
And that's the thing. Getting a diagnosis gives you the opportunity to be a little bit nicer to yourself.
Yeah.
So I think that makes a difference. Can I just ask, have you gone down the medicated route, or where are you at on that front?
I started taking medication. It's called Ulmasart, and I started taking it about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And so far, there hasn't been a kind of, people say it's like having glasses on your brain, which I think is fantastic. I haven't felt like that, but I've felt a kind of moment of just kind of getting on with something when I sit down to do it. I do get on with it. But it's not been a kind of flashbang. But I have noticed some change. I have got a loss of appetite, which I've never had in my life. That episode last week that you had about the kind of disordered eating and the kind of that self-soothing, I'll go and get a biscuit, a little treat all the time.
It's stimming. It is.
And that kind of stuff has really fallen into place. I'm hoping that, the medication carries on. I hope doing what it does.
Yeah.
What were you asking? You were asking me something else as well. What's it cost me?
No, I don't know. It's all good though.
I think one of the things that did occur to me, I was thinking about it yesterday, is that it's cost me a lot of power. And, because of where I've always felt about myself, I've allowed other people that have the power, because I've always felt like I'm not as good.
That's me. That is me to a T. I'm exactly the same. I will sit back. If someone takes the reins, look at our situation with the podcast in itself. Like, if someone sits and takes the reins, I'll let them go. So unless I'm really being pushed to do something on my own, I tend to just be like, well, you're going to do that better than me, so I'll just let you do it. And that is me to a T. I can really relate on that one.
I feel like that resonated with me in a completely different way. And it was really like, I was like, oh my God, because it's a bit like I've blindly followed people in my life, like previous partners or friends or whatever. And it is that. It's not so much that I've sat back, it's that I've thought to myself, oh, I don't think that's such a good idea. I think this would be better, or I would prefer to do this or that. But actually it's been like, but they must know better than me. So I should do what they're saying. They'll know better. So I'll just follow. Is that which way has it worked for you? Because honestly, you've just blown my mind with that. That's amazing. Yeah.
I think it's I don't know if I've let myself be intimidated by people quite a lot. And I don't know whether that's mixed in there. So people at school, if they took the piss, it's like, well, I should shut up, because they're kind of almost, I don't know. I don't know whether I thought people were better than me, but I know in a work context, And I don't feel this anymore because I work in a really sensible team of people.
Yeah.
In previous jobs, I thought, oh, well, be careful because they'll react like this or they'll react like that. And as a result, I've ended up kind of curbing who I really am for some of it. And I think that's when you give people power. Or I've allowed myself, have you ever seen that Hannah Gadsby stand-up set where she talks about when you use self-depreciating comedy, you're allowing other people to have that kind of power. You're not big, and it's kind of like that. So I use comedy all the time.
You self-depreciate.
Yeah. So I mean, I always say at work, I know we talked about this the other day, but I've been around the goldfish bowl. That's how it is. I'm like, when you take the piss out of yourself, people receive it in a way that is they're a good egg, and it's okay, and we can laugh with them.
Yeah.
When you're giving that power away, what happens is people use it and they take the piss out of you with it. So they take what you're saying and use it to belittle you. And I've let people do that. That's that's probably what I mean. I think it's not a good thing.
No.
And you end up being in not safe spaces, and by that I mean you end up in spaces where it hurts your head. You end up, your mental health isn't good as a result of it. So yeah, that's that.
That's so interesting. So like, do you feel, do you try not to do that now? Do you try, or obviously it's hard to unlearn a lifetime of behavior. Are you trying to acknowledge it and trying not to do it?
I think what's changed is I've learned when to do it.
Right.
So I know, the people that you're safe with, you two understand each other and you can say things, and it isn't, you'll take it on board or you'll take the piss out of each other, and it's a comfortable space. And I think now I know that the people that I can do it with, and they still respect me, whereas in the past, other people haven't. So certainly at school, talking about it in a really stupid way, you're taking the piss out of yourself because you're trying to be friends with a cool kid.
Yeah.
Well, where the fuck are they now? They're not in my life. So, I'm really not asked. So
that's so interesting. Like, you've really got me thinking about that. Like, I have done that. I have been self-deprecating, but also like mine is more just like being really nice and being really like overly generous, or listening to people or helping to people and trying to give. And then actually they don't see you as like a kind person or this trusted person or anything else. They see you as a mug. And then they mistake your kindness for weakness. And it's just like, oh, she'll just take whatever. Because,
very similar. I'm with Joe on the making fun of yourself. Like, I've done that my whole life. It's like, I'll just be the comedy. I'll make people laugh at me, and then that makes everyone happy.
Yeah.
But then it just gives people the power. Exactly that. For them to then take the piss out of you.
It gives some people power if they choose to do it.
Yes, absolutely.
To an extent, you allow them, but sometimes it's really difficult to challenge, isn't it? It's when you're in a difficult place. In the past, there was people who were kind of more senior to me at work, so you're in a really weird position. Or people can worry about people saying stuff about me. I don't know why. It's like it's probably everything there is to gossip about me at work. So I don't know why I'm worrying. But, I think there's a lot to it, and it might resonate with people for completely different reasons.
Yeah. It's very, very interesting. I think especially since I've been diagnosed, I know that I'm less self-depreciating, and I think in turn that changes the way I allow people to talk to me and treat me, because I just like, wait a minute, I respect myself more now, and because I have more respect for myself, I won't allow others to disrespect me as much either. Like, I definitely stand my ground a lot more and stick up for myself way more than I would have before.
That's amazing.
That's really good. That's really, really good.
Yeah. So with that in mind, what has changed for you since diagnosis?
It's really hard to kind of put my finger on one thing. It is that realization that my brain works differently, and that's okay. It lends itself to some really good things. I'm quite good at, I can stand up and talk on the hoof a little bit, and I'm kind of okay with that. I am a bit known for kind of winging things, which is helpful. But I also recognise, particularly in a work capacity, that it's quite damaging and it's difficult for other people to work with me.
Yeah.
So that's quite tricky. I think I'm learning to work out how I need to be supported by people to get by. So, you know, I understand what doesn't work for me, and, you know, kind of sitting at a desk for hours on end, I'd go mad. So I know to get up and do other things and that kind of thing. But I also need to work out how to put barriers around myself so that I can be productive and do things that I promise to do, either at work or with Karina, my partner. So that, you know, I don't feel like I'm letting people down, which, you know, it's that thing. I don't know where I am yet, and I'm, you know, I'm open to ideas from people where they've worked things out. Tell me, I really want to know.
Well, that's interesting, because the next question is kind of, where do you feel that you are in the late diagnosis roller coaster? It's
like a grief cycle.
The grief cycle.
I think I was relieved, and I got really fucking angry, and I can't get past that.
You can't get past it. You're angry now. Yeah.
And not with partly with myself and not realizing it sooner. Just that kind of anger, like, why did nobody realize this was a problem? I mean, my parents realized that something was going on because they kind of did something about that, and, you know, ended up having like maths tutors and stuff like that. But it's just, I don't know, because it seems really obvious to me. It's like, why was it not obvious to everyone else? And I'm kind of, I feel cross about it, and I need to work through that and just go, right, let's just. Yeah,
it's funny because actually, like, and I don't want to, I'm like touching wood, but like, I was really frigging angry for quite a while there, wasn't I? I was angry like all the time, and actually, I don't feel that angry right now.
That's
so
really
I'm hoping that I've come through the other side of it with the anger. But I really feel you there. It's just like, you know, just living in a perpetual state of rage almost. Like, you what? For ages. Because it's like, you know, I know when I woke up the first morning after being diagnosed, I was like, I woke up and I'd felt so depressed for so long. And I woke up and I was just like, oh, I don't have to hate myself today. You know, I really remember just opening my eyes and be like, did that really happen? No, it has really happened. Oh my God, I'm not a terrible person. This is amazing. But then, it was like, the fucking lot of you. Oh, yeah.
Why didn't anyone help me?
Yeah. So I'm so sorry that you're feeling that way. But it is a cycle and it will get better. It will.
And then, you know, a few years ago when my mum died, a friend of mine said to me, you know what, you'll feel different things on different days, and you just got to ride it out. And you know, one day you'll feel really sad, and the next day you'll be absolutely fine, and just and I thought, that sounds a bit corny. It's so true. And this is exactly the same. It's exactly the same. It's all, I sound like a right fucking hippie, and I'm not. But it just, you know, stuff does move, and I'm just kind of in this space at the minute, and it'll move on.
Absolutely,
exactly. So if you could implement change to the diagnostic process, what would it be? That's the big one.
I think I'm like everybody else, just make it quicker, make it easier for people. And you know what, I get that you've got to fill some forms in order to find some things out, but come on, fucking forms for people who've got ADHD, it's like the worst thing you can give to me is a form.
You can make it up. You literally can make it up.
I'm like, we fill this in because I'm starting in the middle and writing all sorts. So there's aspects of it that I think, I wonder how they could perhaps do the screening a little bit differently. It needs more resource. I think it needs more at school level, which I suspect it probably is now, rather than kind of in the 80s when I was there and it was all about naughty boys. But it certainly needs to start earlier if people are showing signs that are supported through that, and particularly when people are younger, so that they don't end up feeling bad about themselves. When you're a kid, there's all kinds of things that make you feel bad when you're a teenager. You don't need your brain being wonky to be another thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would try and make things quicker. I would try and make it earlier. And I'd also suggest there are kind of better post-diagnostic resources, because nothing seems to be from kind of the NHS and stuff like that. It's things that people have put together. There isn't a lot there I can see, but people tell me otherwise.
Like support and stuff post-diagnosis.
Yeah, so I mean, I said to me, do you want to go on medication or do you want counselling? So I said, can I have both? And they said, no, you've got to pick one. So I've got to make an immediate decision in that moment. And go, well, I'll have the pills then. Counselling I can get later on, can't I, if I find someone? But it would have just been useful to just go, these are the kind of things you can consider in your own time. And then do it. So, you know, maybe a bit of coaching for work, maybe a bit of coaching for life, that kind of thing. So if any people who want to buddy up and do some coaching, I would love it. Little call out there.
It's a funny old thing, isn't it? Like, I was talking to my mum today actually about coaching and stuff, and it's like it's just another privilege, and it's just not fair, is it? People respond well to it, but you can't get it unless you're paying for it.
Yeah.
It's so shit, isn't it? And the thing is, it's like, what's the answer? If the people aren't there, then how do you do it? And it's like, there has to be an answer. And it's in my head all the time, actually. What's the answer? Like, I'm going to fix it. Who the hell am I? What the hell do I know? Nothing. But for some reason, it's my problem to fix.
Yeah.
But by doing this and all the stuff that you're doing through Instagram and through the, you know, the connections that you're making with people, you are being part of that solution. You are connecting people. I feel better being connected in some way with you two, because I go, God, that's all right. Well, I say normal. You're sort of normal, aren't you?
What? I mean,
Sort of normal.
You know what I mean? Though it's just
what is normal? What is normal? He wants to be normal.
If I can connect with other people and help them in some way, in the same way that you folk have, and the guy's what's he called, Balloonhead, and he's mate with the pink hair. The way that they have.
James and Alex.
Yeah. Forgot the names.
Balloonhead and his mate with the pink hair. I love it.
Yeah, they're all part of a solution to making people feel better about something that has frustrated them for donkey's years and made them feel bad about themselves, and it's got to be a good thing. So
definitely. And we're honestly, like, we've been really, really looking forward to talking to you, because it has been from the start, and we just got like this ongoing dialogue. And I put a thing out on the story a while ago about, like, anyone do tattoos? And Joe popped up, are we getting tattoos?
Like you know, Lord of the Rings, when they all went and had all the cast went and had the same thing. It's like let's get a stamp. Let's go.
An ADHDAF tramp stamp.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So where are we up to?
Yeah, so basically tell us some positives since diagnosis for yourself,
or about ADHD in general, or in the world.
I can pick things up and drop them and that kind of thing, and I can have books in every room, and I can read a few pages, and I don't have to focus on one book at a time, and I'm okay. Or watch lots of different TV shows intermittently. My partner can't do that. She likes to watch one at a time, so I get curbed on some of that. But I just think, you know, I can work really well in a really short space of time. You know, that gun of time is at your head. You do your best work, don't you? And so I see some of that as a positive. I find it really helpful, and I've always been like that. And you know,
is there anything that you would like to add? Is there anything that we haven't covered? Is there anything you really want to say?
I can't think of anything. I just think I want to, you know, kind of reiterate that you guys are doing a, you know, fantastic job, and I love it. I appreciate what you do, and it's, you know, it's really good to see it grow and everybody, you know, getting onto it and adding 2 pence kind of thing. So yeah, it's fantastic. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We really appreciate your support, genuinely.
That's all right.
Yeah. Joe is full ADHDAF army, isn't he?
I know.
Like someone's like core crew. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
One of the OGs.
That's all right.
Yeah. Okay. So
Now you want to let us know what the most ADHD thing you've done this week is?
My worst task ever, and I dread anybody ever asking me to do it, is I'm trying to organise some interviews for next week at work and trying to book several rooms to do them in, and it goes wrong. You can guarantee it. I put me on one day. We're in two things at the same time. It's a disaster. So if anybody knows of a way of booking things without me having to think about it, I'm all ears. That's fantastic.
I know a way. Get someone else to do it.
Yeah. You're not wrong. You are not wrong. I think, I am going to have to sort of sweet talk my manager a little bit to see if we can get somebody to help me out on things.
Yeah.
Reasonable adjustments in the workplace.
It is reasonable adjustments.
Exactly.
Right.
If
Yeah.
it's something that you struggle with and you can't do to the best of your ability,
Without some support.
then
adjustments.
get some help.
Yeah.
That's right. The other week, I took the wrong car for an MOT because I didn't read the text message properly, and it said, take your old car for an MOT, which I don't have anymore. I've got a different car. So I went and got a call about an hour later going, it's not due till November. So I was, there is an example. If anybody doesn't believe me, that is my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we believe you.
Yeah. Absolutely. What's yours?
What my most ADHD thing I've done this week?
Yeah.
Probably turning up to work an hour late this morning.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I messaged you this morning. It was like about 9, and then you got back about 15:15. Like, I've only just woken up.
Yeah, just turn my alarm off when it went off. I struggle in the
But you
mornings
got up
anyway, but
I thought you got up at 5. Who is it who gets up at 5 or something?
oh, I mean, I did that for 100 days, getting up at 5 to jump in the sea. But that was when I had external pressure pushing me to do something.
And the external pressure of going to work, isn't it?
The external pressure of going to work is not enough.
That's not pressure.
It's
But
not
getting
enough.
paid.
So yeah, I woke up an hour late for work, and yeah, I had to run out the door. And basically had to go and have a shower and stuff before we did the interview, because I looked like a proper, I don't know, well, we call it a mink up here, but
Mink.
a tinker. A mink is
Oh.
what, just someone that looks like unclean and unwashed, and
I mean, I quite like it, but I always think of like a mink coat.
no.
Yeah. Just Minga, innit?
A minga.
Yeah.
Minga. Am I Mingy?
But so there
I
you
don't
go.
actually know what mine are. Mine is, there'll be multiple, but I can't think of one off the top of my head. I think that mine is always something ridiculous, like somebody will send an email and I will become massively offended or enraged by something. And it'll be like, who said what today? And I'll be like, wow, this person, blah, blah, blah. And then be like, oh, they probably didn't mean it like that. And actually, it's not very important. And actually, I don't even care. But for a while there, I'll be absolutely raging. I think that's happened a couple of times this week.
Yeah. Just you taking stuff really personally.
Yeah, taking stuff personally and being really enraged by it, and then being like, "Oh, actually, it's not that important."
Sorry, I'm doing that thing where I want to say something. I'm desperate not to forget it, and I keep
Do it.
interrupting.
Tell
So
us.
it's classic, isn't it? That whole rejection sensitivity dysphoria,
Mm.
which I was like, "Is this real?" And I said something to Karina, and she went, "What?" And I said, "It makes sense about somebody doesn't answer you in a fluffy enough way on a text message. You think, oh shit, really annoyed them, or somebody answers you really quickly, and it's like, oh god." And I just think I didn't even realize that was a thing. I thought it was just like a bit sensitive. Well, I am a bit sensitive, but it's actually a thing.
Yeah.
So that's something that I have learned, and actually just have it in my mind that don't get hung up on stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it?
It's hard. You just have to kind of
have a little word with yourself sometimes. And
Yeah, that's what it is. I'm always kind of outraged. I'm outraged by the arrogance of people. I've just remembered what it was. I won't give the exact example, but we were literally talking about it before, and I was just
Yeah.
like, who do they think they are? Like, you can't do that. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, probably that person was just literally like, oh yeah, that sounds good. And I'm just like, you know, it's just this complete clash of like, you know, wanting to be spoken to in a nice way, or thinking that somebody thinks that they're better than you, or some kind of nonsense. And it's RSD.
yeah.
Yeah.
And couple that with the quick to react, slightly. I don't know what you guys are like, but I've got a bit of I'm like a volcano. I go off and then I'm all right for a bit, and that's fine. You mix the two together, it's lethal.
It really is.
Like,
it really
Capture
is.
you at the wrong moment. Yeah.
Captain Rage for 20 minutes and then all right. Are you getting any negative comments? I mean, I've never seen anything. So
we haven't had too
like touching words, touch word.
Yeah, we haven't had much in the way of negativity so far.
But you wouldn't know it because I'm offended every 5 minutes. but
like, you know, like proper, like obvious negativity, trolling type stuff. We've not had much. There's maybe been one or two comments.
We've had a couple of people that haven't got the acronym and are offended about the females thing. There was that woman who's just like, that's what men call us. Don't call yourself a female. But I was like, oh, please, no. It's called ADHDAF. Come on.
Like,
and we have had somebody, I was really, really offended. One particular email I was very, very offended by was somebody saying that we shouldn't keep talking about diagnosis. And I was like so enraged. I was like, that's literally the point. That's what we're talking about in real time. That's what's happening. Because Dawn is getting her assessment so soon.
yeah, 4th of October.
Yeah.
What date? Sorry.
4th of October.
Really soon.
That's awesome. I saw that when you said you got they were gonna do it, or you know, your letter. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, that's brilliant, because I could just imagine that's been weighing on you, and it's
I mean,
a next step.
I don't know what's been worse, whether it's been me getting that kind of informal diagnosis through my uni and having to wait, knowing what I know.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if it would have been easier me just not having that. But I feel like it's been made that little bit harder, just because it's like, well, I know, like I've already kind of had. It just goes
to show how unjust and ridiculous.
Yeah, I've already had that validation telling me that I have ADHD, but because they're not a psychiatrist, they're only a psychologist, that's not a diagnosis. And I've had on different groups and Facebook groups and stuff that I've been in as well, where people have, like, I've told them I'm diagnosed via an educational psychologist, and they're like, well, you're not diagnosed then, are you? And I'm like, well, I am. Just because it's not a medical diagnosis, it's go fuck yourself. Like, it's still a valid diagnosis in my eyes.
God.
Like, so yeah. But yeah, so 4th of October, and hopefully they don't
in ADHD Awareness Month, no less.
I know, hopefully they don't tell me I'm lying or something, because that would be slightly embarrassing since we're doing this podcast.
I also think that about our name as well. I was thinking about it the other day. It's almost like when I would describe you, or I would describe myself, I'd be like, she's not just ADHD, she's ADHDAF.
Yeah.
That is very, very true.
Yeah.
You are literally.
It's like, even though I am like I know I am so ADHD, there is still that little tiny piece of me that's just like, what if they just tell me no, I'm not?
I thought, oh shit, what if I've built myself up, hyper focused on it, because I did, and what did they say no? Then what do I do? I've got 25 books here that I bought when I
actually got a degree in ADHD at this point.
Yeah, well,
I'll diagnose you. It's all right.
We've got 4,000 listeners. Like
4,000 followers. We've got
followers.
64,000 listeners.
And what am I going to tell these 4,000 followers? Oh, by the way, I'm a fraud.
ADHD a fraud. Yes.
ADHD as fraud.
That is genius. That is genius. No, but that's imposter syndrome, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
Completely.
That's it.
It's and especially after a lifetime of taking on board all of that, all of the things you've done wrong, all of the people you've let down, and all the rest of it, you know, we all believe that we're a bit shit,
Yeah.
basically. So it's only natural that we're going to be like, oh no, I'm sure it can't actually be a brain disorder. I must actually be a complete twat.
Yeah.
Well, I am a twat, but you know,
Oh, yeah.
I'm a twat for different
That's
reasons.
that
and
self-depreciation.
Yes.
You're not a
You should
twat.
watch. If you haven't seen that Hannah Gadsby thing, it's well worth watching.
Okay,
Yeah,
we will.
I'm going to check that out for sure.
Yes.
Very
Well,
funny.
it's been amazing speaking to you, Joe.
Yeah, it really has.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
really enjoyed that. And we're looking forward to sharing your episode.
Thank you.
But we best leave you to get on with your evening.
It's been really lovely, and thank you for being a genuine ally. Keep doing what you're doing, because that's the important thing. It's just making sure that whilst it's, you know, it's you talking about women, but it's a space for other people who've got experiences, and they're all valid. So
Yeah.
I really do appreciate it.
Oh,
thank
you're
you.
so welcome.
We appreciate you. Have a lovely evening, and we
You
will
too.
speak to you soon.
See you soon.
Take care.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
What a ledge.
What an absolute ledge.
Isn't he great?
So good. We
Some
love
of
Joe.
the sound wasn't great in there. We've been having some internet issues, haven't we?
Yeah, but actually that reminds me,
Yeah.
because my internet was due for like my contracts run out. So like I've still got internet and it's still working, but it's like it's just a rolling contract now, and really what I should have done was research who the best provider
one,
was now
right.
and change.
Yeah.
But I'm just paying the price that I've been paying for however long, and I haven't changed. And
Yeah.
I really need to sort that out. So this is maybe a kick up the arse to do
Yeah,
it, because
so sorry about that, because we've had a couple of interviews now where we've kind of lost people, or it's gone a bit roboty,
and it's always at the worst time when
you're
they're like
literally hanging on like no!
coming out with all these pearls of wisdom, and then we lose them, and it's like, oh my god.
Okay, we'll put that on the list.
I'll
New
put that on my
internet.
list. New internet service. The thing is, I think my internet's all right, but just sometimes I'm like, is it ours? Is it theirs? What's
Yeah, well,
going
there's
on?
no way of knowing, is there,
Yeah,
really?
so-
But by the by, Joe, we really, really enjoyed talking to Joe. And I think in particular, one of the things, you know, one of the really valuable things that Joe spoke about was power.
Wasn't that so good?
Oh my God. And the fact, and it's so interesting that it resonated with us both in such different
Yeah.
ways. So yeah, if that resonated with you, do drop us a line, put us a comment on one of our socials posts, and let us know about power, because I'm definitely going to put a post out about that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I got the power. we have now. We're not giving it away anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody knows better than us. You know, nobody is better than us. We
Yeah.
all have our own autonomy, our own power. We can empower ourselves and just stop giving it away to people in various forms, whether
Yeah.
it be in, self-deprecating humour, or in just not trusting someone else's judgment above your own.
Or
like
being
in my
too kind
case. Yeah, just
to
being
everyone.
too kind. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, thank you for that, Joe, because that's really so valuable. Yeah, that's amazing.
Incredible.
So moving on from that, the topic of being trans and being neurodivergent is randomly, because everything that happens with this podcast is really serendipitous. So literally, once we'd interviewed Joe, we got an email through from a lady who is, and I've just lost it, here we go. She is a psychologist who identifies neurodivergence in clients. She specialises in working with trans identifying clients, and there is a huge overlap, she says, in non-cis folks and neurodivergence. I mean,
I know.
what
are the chances of that email coming in at that
for
time?
that to come through? So we are going to be coming back to this topic to explore it further, because we think it's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
And hoping that we can twist Joe's arm to come back on as well when we speak to this psychologist. And if this is a topic that is close to your heart or interests you, you know, do reach out to us. Because yeah, it's fascinating, but we'll come back to that another day.
Yeah.
So we hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you
As
did,
always. If you did, then please head over to our Buy Me a Coffee page, where you can buy us a coffee and offer your support. It's buymeacoffee.com/ADHD as females.
And it has nothing to do with coffees. It's just a donation. And yeah, it's really hard because, as you've noticed, we both totally wear our hearts on our sleeves and blurt everything out all the time, particularly me. So it's hard to not say, but the money is going towards really, really important things that is going to really help us in the future and help us to bring a lot more to you. And I'll shut up before I start saying
well,
it.
there's costs behind the scene that, well, we didn't know about or we did know about and we didn't realise how much, you know, some of those things are going to cost us to get in place. So yeah, this is what your money goes towards.
We're really grateful because we'd be stumped without it, basically.
Yeah, you guys are helping us
move forward to the next stage of what ADHD as females will become.
And we have so many exciting ideas.
Honestly, we do. Well, we're full of ideas.
And we're so scared to tell anyone the ideas because we're scared that someone nicks it and gets in there before us or whatever. You know?
In completely unlike our personalities, for once, we're trying to keep our cards close to our chest.
It's fucking hard.
And we're trying to do really official things with forms and things that is just doubly hard. So we're doing all the hard things, and we really appreciate your support for helping us along the way because you know, between the pair of us, we wouldn't be able to do any of that.
And we love all of the messages that you send us.
We truly do.
But and here's the but we realise that as more of you join us and listen and follow us on our Instagram and Facebook, we're getting inundated with messages.
We're struggling now.
And replying to people in a timely fashion, it's getting harder. So we're not saying to stop messaging us, but just be mindful if you are messaging us that, you know, it takes time for us to get through your messages and to read them all and to reply to everyone. So if you can keep them short and sweet, like that would be super helpful.
But we know that's never going to happen. But
we know ourselves how easily it is to ramble and
to write an essay really quickly.
But yeah, we don't want to put you off messaging by any means.
Know that if you have reached out to us, we are so grateful. We are so grateful to hear from you. Please don't RSD, and please know that we will get to you as soon as we can. And if we haven't, it's not because we've read it and decided we don't want to reply to you. It's because we haven't got to it yet. Yeah. That's the truth of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you so much as ever. And
be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Be kind to each other.
Yeah. And
compassion, empathy.
Celebrate the wins and don't give away your power. Thank you, Joe.
Give away your power.
All right.
We got the power.
Shut up.
Bye. Bye.
ADHD as females.